Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican, running for mayor of Abbotsford. You saw my first thing as Abbotsford's mayor. The RCMP are taking over this town of what took place in the organized crime to give Abbotsford its city back. Go under investigations of what Henry was doing in attempted murder. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to target the homeless problem. Today I stand in front of Archway Community Services. So I want to correct the BC Conservative Armin and the people that are going around saying David Eby all over the Fraser Valley and in Vancouver, the homeless problem. Let me explain. The homeless thing is number one in my heart of Abbotsford, and I'm going to fix that under my mayorship. The mayors are to blame in their local municipality. First of all, the federal government, provincial government have a big responsibility, but the mayors are. So let me correct something. Archway Community Services, the BC Conservatives should be arguing that the money that they're trying to get to build 60 new rooms should be taken. They have $30 million in the coffers that should be taken out to raise that money to build homes. They weren't. They're hoping the money that they can lobby and bully the feds and the provincial government to get more money. Rob Santiago then is filling his portfolio. He'll be worth $50 million. Rob Santiago wasn't there when Henry Brown and Ross Siemens tugged rocks on the homeless. He wasn't there when they cut down the tree of hope on the homeless. He was an inter-establishment. These profits and these organizations are tied to the mayors and the contractors to get the jobs and the developments. So let's explain. Rob Santiago raised money in the name of the farmers. In the name of the farmers. It's like raising money for Terry Fox Foundation and keeping it. He raised that money for them flood victims. He kept it. He went out and bought real estate. He went and bought real estate as a non-profit. Ross Siemens, because he's tied to Andy Sadu and Dave Sadu, and the upper establishment of Abbotsford waived his taxes as a non-profit. Where other communities, non-profits are trying to get ahead, they got to pay taxes. Why? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, this was the man with Alex Mitchell, the Chamber of Commerce, wanted to hook all the profits and organizations together, and Archway was going to look over them all. A multi-conglomerate thing off of these non-profits and organizations. Sympathy. We saw the sympathy of $71 million on the Abbotsford Police Building. Rob Santiago did not speak that Ross Siemens cut the tree of hope down to load all them rocks down on Ron Funk on Gladys Avenue to get rid of them homeless there, which was he should have never done. So let's tell you this. Rob Santiago, as Mission Salvation Army, gives 10 bags of food to their food bank, gives one. Rob Santiago's got to be let go from Archway. Not only that, David Eby, we got to stand up and backtrack here a little bit and say, no, BC Conservatives, Armin, you're a little bit wrong. I'm number one about fighting for my community and my town as mayor. I'm going to give David Eby a pass on this one and say, no, David Eby ain't to blame. You can crank all the heat down. These mayors are to blame because they're taking advantage of it. Remember when all this happened on the homeless? They weren't. But the BC Conservatives leaders here know that Rob Santiago raised this money, kept this money. They know they're worth $30 million as a non-profit and they made profit. They know they were filling their portfolios and everything else. We need to go in and knock that down. But the first thing we need to do is make sure that David Eby sees this. And as if David Eby sees it, the first thing Armin should be doing is arguing that Archway Community Services should not be getting those 60 beds to run or look after it, because at the end they're going to be worth $50 million. I'm coming in as mayor. Archway's going to be out, and I'm going to allow other foundations. I was tied into a group and a development company and contractors here, Miro Contracting, when they were building King Haven. I saw Milt Walker and Jerry Palmer, who's a lawyer there, another lawyer, just like Mark Workentine, have open alcohol in the back of the toilet tanks of King Haven. When it was brought to the Abbotsford Police, this is where Olenoff was involved too, and Mike Serb, they didn't raid it because Henry stood on top of that to help King Haven Milt Walker. Why? So he didn't lose his grants. These people were going there for help, and they were allowing alcohol there behind the court's back to keep you off, and then they were using them, and they were customers to make money. I came here to meet Rob Santiago to shut King Haven down and get that done. You know what he did? He didn't speak out that they were wrecking them people, and then people were being lied behind the court's back when the judge thinks he sent them there for help. These foundations were tied to them lackeys in the city. So to Armin, we need to fix this. So what you should be arguing is that when is the Premier David Eby going to wake up and say the mayors are to blame and start pulling the money out and investigating these foundations like Archway? So to correct that, I'm a voice for Abbotsford. I'm strong for Abbotsford. George Ferguson would be here and everybody else. And I'm going to correct that. I called Bruce Bamman out when he was making the mistakes on the Mackenzie Bog. And I'll call you out and I'll call everybody out. John Rustad's a really good friend of mine, Armin. That I can tell you. I've helped the BC Conservatives in here. But this here has to be stopped, and it must be stopped. And the man that you should be speaking here and having a live interview is Armin should be standing here by that lackey, Dave Lowens, and that gas station boy right here and saying no. And then he should be asking, how the heck did they get to keep the money in the flood victims? How is this worth $30 million and you didn't go leverage that off the bank to build these shelters yourself? Why? Because Archway, between the CEO, Rob Santiago, and his wife, are making huge money as the CEOs, and they didn't care about the homeless. And you could see that. Number one, when I'm elected as mayor, Archway is done. It's finished. I'm going to bring facilities in that get audited every 3 months. We see what their budgets are, we see what they are, and you're going to start caring about this community. So to all the foundations that are out there, I will have your back. And I encourage you, just like I encourage Manji Sohi and Barty Sindhu and everybody, it's time to fight for our community. But we got to get rid of our mob in Abbotsford. And the number one thing we got to do is get the RCMP in here. And the RCMP will go after things like this when they raised money in the name of victims and kept it. And they'll go after the assets. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm live here at Archway Community Services. And I respect that the BC Conservatives start walking back what they're saying, because you're walking on unsafe ground here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, and you may get the NDP re-elected if you don't start wheeling in and start telling the truth and going after the issues and after these foundations and going after Rob Santiago. Live, Abbotsford, British Columbia.